Good morning, and thank you for joining the media briefing for Council President Kate Stewart. I'm Jordan Lindsay. Reporters, if you still need permission to record, please note that in the chat. And if you have any questions throughout this briefing, you can note that in the chat or you can raise your hand and I will call on you accordingly. Now I'll toss it to Council President Kate Stewart for opening remarks. Council President, to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jordan, and good morning, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Before jumping into council matters this morning, I wanted to take the opportunity to reiterate to residents that the leaders and public servants in Montgomery County government understand the ongoing concerns following changes we have witnessed at the federal level that are impacting our communities. We remain resolute in upholding not only the fundamental rights of our residents, but also our basic local authority to govern. In Montgomery County, approximately 70,000 residents work for the federal government, and that does not include contractors. And their public service is a valued part of our democracy. Our community offers job opportunities, workforce development programs, and lifelong educational options for community members experiencing job loss. As your local leaders, we will continue to support all our residents and reinforce the values that define our community. We are united in service and support to our wonderfully diverse county and its 1 million residents. We are committed to uplifting the values of inclusion, connection, and compassion to ensure that our community remains a safe and welcoming place to live, work, worship, and raise a family. The county has a number of resources available to help residents, and I encourage everyone who may need them to go to our council website for a comprehensive list, which includes items on resources on immigration, workforce development, LGBTQIA plus supports, food services, educational support, and more. Additionally, we are in regular contact with our state and federal representatives who also continue their work to help protect vulnerable communities and residents during these uncertain times. I encourage residents to join a telephone town hall that will be hosted by Senator Van Hollen and also Brooks on Wednesday, February 12th at 7:30 p.m., and to visit the web pages of our congressional and state representatives to view additional available resources, including but not limited to guidance on unemployment resources for our federal workforce. My team and our council colleagues are happy to help connect residents with service providers, so I encourage anyone with questions to reach out to us directly. Contact information for all our council members can be found on the council website. Last Wednesday, I had the opportunity to go and hear Governor Moore deliver the State of the State address. He noted the difficult budget decisions that are ahead as we need to close a $3 billion state budget deficit. I want to thank Governor Moore for his leadership, and I understand the budget challenges at the state level. Additionally, I was excited to hear about ongoing action to invigorate Maryland's economy by investing in industries for the future to grow our economy, by creating a more progressive tax system, and investing in residents across our state. While I support Governor Moore and share his goals, last week we held a Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee meeting and discussed with our finance department what might be headed our way as we're looking at the state budget. And we are predicting that it may be approximately $23 million in expenditures that are shifting to Montgomery County from the state. This proposed shift, combined with uncertainty associated with federal funding that we receive directly and also federal agencies in Montgomery County, such as NIH, would be a dramatic hit to our local budget and requires additional evaluation. Throughout this legislative session, I will be working with our state delegation to determine how we can minimize the proposed fiscal impact on our community. Our Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee discussion also looked at our spending affordability for the Council's upcoming operating budget deliberations, and we focused on continuing our fiscal restraint to ensure that every dollar that is spent in the county is put to the highest and best use. Over the years, Montgomery County has established sound fiscal policies and has used our taxpayer dollars prudently. And we've had strategic investments. All of these have resulted in revenue that is 2.1% higher than our proposed budget. Additionally, our fiscal plan currently projects for FY25 ending reserves at 13%, which is above the 10.8% that we had assumed when we finished the budget last June. However, we know potential actions and decisions at the federal level could have negative impacts on Maryland and Montgomery County and could cause us some issues here. So the bottom line is that we have to remain cautious as we plan for an uncertain future to ensure that we have the resources needed to provide the essential services that our residents rely on and deserve. Turning to our council meeting tomorrow, we're going to be introducing a number of bills, and two I want to highlight this morning for you all. The first is Bill 3-25, which is sponsored by the Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee. As I mentioned, I'm chair of that, and our committee includes Councilmember Friedson and Councilmember Katz. We are introducing this bill to help residents help address residents who have limited income or who are on fixed incomes and are cost burdened because of rising property assessments. Last year, the council discussed expanding the property tax credit for individuals 65 and older, but this bill did not move forward last year. Working with my colleagues on the Government Operations Committee, we have looked at other mechanisms to make sure that we're assisting those in needs. Bill 3-25 would alter the criteria to expand eligibility on who would qualify for the county supplement to the state Maryland homeowners tax credit known as HOTC. The HOTC is a progressive tax credit administered by the state of Maryland's Department of Assessment and Taxation, or SDAT. And it allows lower income households to receive a larger credit on their property taxes. So relief is targeted to residents on limited incomes who need it the most. The bill we are introducing would expand the credit by raising the eligibility requirements for the credit, including maximum income and net worth of households, as well as increasing the assessed value of property to which the credit applies, thereby expanding eligibility here in Montgomery County. The state of Maryland provides HOTC, as I said, to certain eligible households. And so what we're doing here is three things: expanding the eligibility by increasing the combined income eligibility level from $60,000 to $75,000. The second thing is increase the net worth criteria from $200,000 to $250,000. And increase from $300,000 to $375,000 the assessed value upon which the credit could apply. Thereby, we're expanding who qualifies for this homeowner's tax credit here in the county. Currently, the supplement is available based on the same material the county has with the state. But again, what we're doing with the introduction of this bill is looking at how we can expand that to help more people in need in our county. The next bill I want to highlight is Bill 4-25, and is a bill I'm introducing with Councilmember Mink, which would establish a transparent process for the county's acquisition and use of any new public safety technology. The goal of the bill is to safeguard the privacy and civil rights of our residents as we are advancing technology to meet our public safety needs. The bill would require submission of impact reports and the adoption of regulations prior to the acquisition, funding, or use by the county of certain public safety technology. The impact report must describe the technology, its purposes, deployment factors, cost, effectiveness, and any potential impacts on civil rights and liberties, and must also outline measures to protect the public from any negative impacts. Additionally, the agency would be required to submit a report to the council on the anticipated impacts of the proposed regulations on racial equity and social justice, and must define the technology's purpose, authorized and prohibited uses, data security measures, retention policies, and oversight requirements, as well as safeguard to prevent unauthorized data access, collection, and sharing. The bill would grandfather in technologies already in use in the county prior to 2020 and include a transition process for those acquired after 2020, but before the effective date of the bill. The same regulations would need to be submitted to council for review within 9 months of the effective date of the bill. As we see technology advancing quickly and its application to addressing public safety, we want to make sure that we have in place the appropriate procedures and guidelines to protect individuals' privacy and civil rights while advancing public safety. And I want to thank our Montgomery County Police Department and many of the organizations who work collaboratively with us as we put this bill together. Finally, tomorrow, we also will have the vote on Bill 24-24, known as the Bring Your Own Bag Bill, which I am spearheading. This bill will prohibit plastic carryout bags provided by a retail establishment and require a small tax on paper carryout bags at the point of sale with certain exemptions. Banning single-use plastic carryout bags will assist in the cleanup of our waterways, parks, and public spaces and advance our public health. Plastic bags can take more than 1,000 years to decompose. And as the plastic breaks down, the microplastics are leached into our soil and water, which impacts human health as well as local flora and fauna. This bill encourages people to bring reusable bags with them shopping and improves the process for our local businesses. I developed this bill in collaboration with environmentalists in our county, retailers, local chambers of commerce, and it aligns with 9 of our other neighboring areas around Maryland and moves us towards a more sustainable future for the county. I look forward to the council's vote on this tomorrow. I want to thank my colleagues in Transportation and Environment for their favorable recommendation last week. And I have one of the bags that our Department of Environmental Protection is starting to hand out. It says a plastic bag, such a drag, and it has it in Spanish as well on the back here. And this is just one example of the type of carryout bags, reusable carryout bags that we provide to residents here in the county. Finally, to close today, I want to highlight the Choose Respect Montgomery campaign, which is an initiative the Montgomery County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council and the Family Justice Center are moving forward. This Sunday, February 16th, is the last day for student submission for the Choose Respect Public Service Announcement contest led by Choose Respect Montgomery. The contest challenges teens to create an original video to promote awareness of dating violence and abuse among teens. 1 in 3 teens in the U.S. will experience physical, sexual, or emotional abuse from someone they are in a relationship with before they become adults. 1 in 11 Montgomery County high school students report experiencing physical violence in a dating relationship. Young girls experience dating abuse at disproportionate rates, and transgender youth are particularly at risk. Tomorrow, the council will be presenting a proclamation recognizing February as Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and we encourage residents to take this time of this month and beyond to do their part by acknowledging and educating others on the prevention of teen dating violence in our community so we can all come together to protect our youth. Jordan, that's it for me. I'll turn it back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Council President Stewart. Reporters, again, if you have any questions, you can note that in the chat or raise your hand accordingly, and we will call on you. Up first, I see Milagros Melendez with El Tiempo Latino and El Agenda Radio. Good morning, Milagros. How are you?
Thank you. Good morning, President. And I just wanted to refer to teen dating violence. I have 3 questions. I don't know, I mean, if I do it and just in one and then one by one, it's all regarding teen dating violence and also immigration. First, are there safe shelters or emergency support options for teen experiencing abuse in the county? That's going to be one of my first questions.
Okay.
And do you want to, I mean, the second one is how does the program address the rise of digital abuse on social harassment? And my third question is regarding if the fear of deportation is discouraging victims from coming forward, and how does Montgomery County ensure that undocumented victims receive necessary services?
Great.
Yes.
Thank you, I thank you so much for those questions. And I
Thank
know
you.
we're going to connect you with Jody Finkelstein on the Commission of Women to answer more in depth on those and make sure that your listeners and watchers have information they need available. I can say that we have services here in Montgomery County. There are emergency and shelter services for young people and teens in our county. As we are looking at the situation with the federal government and what has been discussed prior on immigration, I want to reinforce again that our police officers do not enforce federal immigration laws, that our number one priority is to ensure the safety of our residents and to continue to build trust between our police department and our community. And it is very important that if people are experiencing domestic violence, partnership violence, that they have a safe place to go and connect to services in the county. And so I just want to reiterate that people can call our police department if it's an emergency, and Ms. Finkelstein will be able to provide additional information to you about the resources we have available.
Thank you so much. But just one, can you just tell me, do you think that the fear of deportation, I mean, there is a discouraging victims from coming forward? Is that something that the police department has addressed, or are they aware of that?
Yes, well, that is one of our top priorities right now, and why we have been very much emphasizing that our police department does not enforce federal immigration laws, and trying to get that message out to our communities as much as we can, because we want to make sure that people feel safe and we continue to build trust with communities and our police department. I know that people may feel scared and nervous about reaching out for help. And one of our top priorities, not just with our police department, but across our county agencies, is to make sure people know when they contact us for services here in the county, we are not asking about their immigration status, and we are not enforcing federal immigration laws.
All right, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Milagros. Up next, we
Thank
have Lionel Donovan with WSA 9. Good morning, Lionel.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you for taking the time to speak with Council President. I had a few questions just on two of the topics that you brought up. The first one is in regards to the tax credit. I was wondering if you might be able to talk a little bit about, if we know how many people in Montgomery County might be able to benefit from this legislation that the council is putting forward, and do you know if there's any hope that this might help address the need for increasing housing supply in Montgomery County?
Yeah, thank you, Lionel, for those questions. On the numbers, we can, I believe there are some numbers in the packet with the county, with the council agenda, but we can loop around again to make sure you have those. Our goal as we're looking at this is to make sure that people who are lower income or are on fixed incomes can stay in their homes. And if because of their assessments have increased, but because they're on fixed incomes, their incomes haven't gone up. We want to make sure that they're able to stay in their homes here in Montgomery County. So I think in terms of looking at, when we think about housing and our housing crisis, it is a multifaceted issue, and we have the issue of affordability and we have the issue of supply, and we need to address both those things in Montgomery County. This bill on the expanding the eligibility for the homeowners tax credit is looking specifically at the issue of making sure that on affordability and making sure that people can stay in their homes. We are seeing increases in people who are becoming unhoused in our community. community, and some of the fastest growing segments of our community who are unhoused are our seniors. Who are on fixed incomes. And so with this bill, we want to make sure that we're addressing that issue. If we're talking about increasing the supply of housing, those are other tools that we need to, and strategies that we need to put in place to address the supply of housing. And last week, I had my colleagues on, Councilmember Friedson and Natalie Fanny-Gonzalez, who have introduced the Housing Now legislative package that focuses on particularly workforce housing. And happy to go back and look at what we did last week, but to follow up with you and answer questions about that as well.
Thank you so much, Council President. Just one more thing I wanted to ask in regards to federal workers. Some of the comments you made earlier, you were saying that around 70,000 Montgomery County residents are federal workers. With that being said, if this order goes through and there is a requirement for these workers to have to be in the office, does the infrastructure in Montgomery County, do you think they'd be able to accommodate having so many people needing to be on the roads going to and from the county 5 days a week immediately? Like, is that something Montgomery County is prepared to do?
Yes. Well, thank you, Lionel, for that question. So I would say, this is something that I've been working on as sitting on the board of the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments for the last few years, and our conversations we've had around Metro and WMATA, and making sure that we keep a strong Metro system here in our region. And so one thing is encouraging people who can to take Metro. And our bus system is going to be really important, and a number of things that we've done in the county in terms of our infrastructure. And we started this last year and along Georgia Avenue and University is having dedicated bus-only lanes, so to make it easier for people to travel by bus and to get places faster. And so, and we're continuing with our plans on looking at how we're building out our public transit. Our goal is really to get more and more people to be able to use public transit to get around our community. As we are seeing more people on our roadways, we'll need to also make sure that we are maintaining them and that people can get safely to and from work. But we're going to work on that because we want to make sure that our residents here in Montgomery County and our federal workers can get to and from work safely.
Thank you so much, Council President. I appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you so much, Lionel. Up next, we have Miriam Shahzad with My MCM. Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning. Thank you. Council President, on the federal workers, I know you mentioned there are resources on the council website, like the workforce development, but what exactly is the county able to do, and what is it doing to help these affected federal workers?
I say one of the things is, given the large number of federal employees we have and the great deal of uncertainty that we're facing, right now we want to know, make sure that information is available on all the different things that people may need, working with our federal and state and local partners. And I'm very appreciative to our senators and our congressional representatives for the information that they've been providing. As I mentioned earlier, Senators Van Hollen and Alsobrooks are holding a town hall on Wednesday. Congressman Raskin put out a webinar, a Zoom, talking to federal workers about different options. And we're looking at, in the county, setting up and looking at how we can specifically provide resources and information either in person or on Zooms to federal employees if they need unemployment, information about unemployment or information about rental assistance, and making sure they receive them. But given the large number of people and the uncertainty many people are facing, there are a number of different needs, and we want to make sure that we're addressing those needs of people.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Miriam. Reporters, if you have any other questions, okay, Jenny Bixby with Bethesda Magazine. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning, Jordan. Hi, Council President Stewart. I was wondering, I know that in the legislation, I'm sorry, plastic bag tax, we've been all over the place today. I know that in the legislation that there are some exceptions for SNAP recipients and things like that. You did hold up that lovely bag that you said that the Environmental Protection is giving out. Is there going to be like a formalized distribution of those bags for folks, or how is that working?
Yeah, our Department of Environmental Protection hands out bags at many different events and makes them available to residents. I think anytime they hold an event and have them available. And as we're moving forward, I know that our Department of Environmental Protection very much wants to make sure that our residents have access to reusable bags. And once hopefully tomorrow, we finally pass the legislation and put it in place. Happy to talk to DEP about any of their specific distributions that they're doing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jenny. Reporters, if you have any other questions, you can raise your hand or note that in the chat. Going once, going twice, 3 times. Okay, no more questions. Back to you, Council President, for closing remarks.
Great. Well, terrific. All right. Well, thank you, Jordan. Thank you for everyone who's joining today. I very much appreciate it and look forward to seeing you again in the future.